What's up guys, Chris from SOFLETE here today with another weekly tip in our Ruck series. This time we are actually talking about the technique of rucking. We spent a lot of time up to this point talking about when to ruck, how much should I ruck, how to intersperse different exercises that will make me better at rucking. Today we are going to talk about actually the technique of ruck marching. So to start this discussion, what I want you to remember is the spine and the pelvis, right? We're going to talk about this concept of neutrality. Many of us walk around with either a naturally anterior or posterior rotated pelvis. The problem with that is that under an extreme amount of load that's imbalanced on our back, this can cause us problems. So when we talk about spinal neutrality or a neutral spine, we're essentially talking about, if you want to imagine, placing one thumb on your belly button and another thumb right at the xiphoid process. This distance should never change, right? If we keep this distance the same, our spine is in a neutral position. Squeeze your glutes, activate that posterior chain, bring that spine into neutral. The reason is because that spine is going to help balance this load over the entire system. When we talk about the actual load inside the pack itself, when we're packing our rucksacks, we want to keep the heavier stuff in the middle close to the spine. All right. A lot of us, when we pack our rucksacks in a hurry, sometimes we just throw stuff in there. A lot of the heavy stuff sinks down to the bottom, or we throw heavy stuff on top. What that's going to cause you to do under extreme terrain or speed, it's going to naturally either want to pull you backwards. All right. So to alleviate that, we want to remember, place the heavy stuff right here. When we are looking at our spine, we want the heaviest load right here, right in between the shoulder blades, nice and high. Okay, so remember when you're packing your rucksack, keep that weight, that heavy, heavy weight, right here in the high middle portion of your pack. So once we don our packs and get ready to actually walk, we'll talk about the technique of walking under a rucksack. So depending on the type of pack that you own, many pack features, you have padded shoulder straps, which are really good, especially when that pack wants to sink down nice and deep. It'll help alleviate some of that pain. Also, many packs come with a waist strap. What we ultimately want to do with our pack is balance the load on the system. If you imagine trying to move a barbell that has two uneven sides on it, that's essentially an unevenly packed rucksack, and that can lead to damage, mostly because a lot of the injuries we see come from this transverse plane of movement, so this rotational movement. And when I put a 100-pound pack on my back and then twist, right, that movement only becomes more exaggerated. So when we talk about balancing this load, we want to keep this load nice and close to our body, balance the load between the shoulders and the hips. When we talk about walking under a rucksack, okay, we're going to naturally shorten our gait. And the reason for that is we want both feet on the ground at the same time when we walk. We don't want to have one foot strike and one foot off the ground, which is why we do not advocate that you run with a rucksack. So when you walk, naturally shorten your gait, keep both feet on the ground. You're going to have a nice, slightly forward lean, not too far forward, but you want that load balanced over your center of gravity. Furthermore, with the arms, we don't want the arms to move in a crazy outward motion. One, is bad for momentum. Two, we want to keep our shoulders nice and neutral. So swing the arms as you would naturally moving forward, keeping them in a straight line. Secondly, we talk about different types of terrain. That's if you're walking on flat ground. Now, what if you're walking on uphills or downhills? Again, the concept of balancing the load over the center of gravity is going to remain critical. And you're negotiating terrain uphill, especially if you're taking either a big step over a rock or walking up a mountain, whatever, we want to make sure that our foot has a solid placement on the object in order for us to transfer the load from one foot to the other. All right, so when we're negotiating these obstacles, make sure we have good placement of our feet on the ground, making good solid contact. Because of how weight distributes, especially when we walk downhill. So we come up, good. When we start to walk downhill, we're gonna try to walk with a natural bend in the knee, all right? Because that force and that load being distributed over our bodies is gonna be even more exaggerated when rucking downhill. So walk with a natural bend in the knee, keep the load nice and centered, lower your center of gravity, remember not to go fast. Right? You're going downhill under a rucksack that weighs 100 pounds. It's very easy to go careening down a mountainside, which is something we do not want to see any of you do. For more information, click the red button below that says subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at SOFLETE HQ, and we'll hit you with more information next week.